Honestly, it should.
Should what?
Should be easy to graph without doing a whole lot of work.
Oh, gotcha.
Because we talked about, this is an absolute value, so what kind of graph are you going to have? You're going to have a V, aren't you? Right? Okay? If we just had the y equals the absolute value of x, didn't we have a V that centered itself around the origin? What happened when I had this 2 inside the absolute value? It went the opposite direction of the sign, didn't it? So that means if I was graphing this absolute value, I could come over here to this 2 and basically draw my V, correct? Like so? Or something similar to that? What if I go through and I change that from an equal to, let's say, a greater than or equal to? What's going to change? Is my graph going to change?
No.
The basic graph doesn't change because it still needs to be a solid line because it's an equal to. Okay? But now I have basically 3 areas to worry about, don't I, with graphing and shading? I have the area here, the area here, and the area here.
So you'll have to check 2.
Actually, I only have to check 1. Because this whole area is below the graph, isn't it? This area is inside the graph.
Well, then how come you said that there's 3 spaces now?
Well, most of you would probably look at it and say, I've got all of this, I got all this, and I got all that.
Well, I thought that when you said that.
Okay? So I need to pick a point.
1, 4.
1, 4.
Negative 1, 4.
Negative 1, 4.
That's all it is in the box, dude.
So you're talking about up here. Right?
You scored, dude.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I take that point, which happens to be a negative 1, comma 4,
Wait. Okay, never mind.
and put it back into this. So I would have y, which is 4. It's greater than or equal to the absolute value of a negative 1 plus 2. So 4 is greater than or equal to the absolute value of 1. And what's the absolute value of 1? So is 4 greater than or equal to 1? So this part was true. So I'd shade everything in the V.
Is that all that we're adding?
Yep. What's the easiest point to put into these equations or inequalities? As long as your graph doesn't go through it, I put in the origin. Because it's a 0. It's a 0 and a 0. So if I put that in up here, if I put in the 0, 0, because this isn't going to go through it, is it? I'd have 0 is greater than or equal to 0 plus 2. Right? Is 0 greater than or equal to the absolute value of 2? Is 0 greater than or equal to 2?
No.
So this was false, wasn't it? So then I'd shade the inside. I don't care what point you put into.